Next up, everyone's new favorite GIF. Thank you, Melina. It is losing to Shopkeeper. Slap LS's face right on top of his name. What's his name? I forgot.
Boris.
Boris.
Yeah,
There
Boris.
it is.
Yeah.
Boris Shadow 9 right there for you guys. So, again, another several examples of taking L's because they don't know how to spend their money. And we've got your best financial advisors here with Dom and LS to break it down. Let's take a look at the Dignitas game. We're going to look at Dignitas Immortals here. Let's see. Let me switch.
This is the worst one of all time.
So
This is the most.
up.
This is the most egregious one of all time. This is the Phoenix one. The Banshees.
Oh,
Morellos
dude. He
on
can't
LeBlanc.
build.
Yeah, no, that was really crazy. That's probably the worst build we've seen in LCS this entire year. Straight up, I can't imagine one that's
Holy.
even close to as bad.
He has a Banshee's Veil when Corki can just pop it with an R, or Ash can pop it with a volley. And then he goes fucking Morello. What healing, dude? Holy shit. I don't... Oh, God.
No. What you don't understand here, LS, is
Oh.
the Corki has legend bloodline in this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what needs to be cut down there. Also, the healings from the Knight's Vow.
Fleet foot.
All right.
You don't want any of that. And I mean, that's without even discussing Trundle's passive in this game.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, true.
Yeah. But
Dude, there was
God.
there was a Reddit comment one time. I would never be able to find it. It had like 100 upvotes or something once upon a time, and there was someone that actually argued that or against me that Morello was justifiable because some of the champions had Triumph, and I'm like, yeah. You should really account for the person killing you so that you can reduce their healing. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I want to show. I want to show all of our viewers like exactly the moment that both of you guys texted the same thing, like minutes apart, like a minute apart. Both of you guys took a screenshot of the scoreboard, one right after the other, and just sent it to each other in our chat.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, so cool. We got that one. So I can zoom in on it now. So there it is. Same time they sent me the same Gazo clip, and
It was like within 20 seconds. I told my chat when this happened, I'm like, oh, by the way, like LS is on this shit too. Like this is just horrible to watch.
It's awful, man. It's really awful. I mean, also you have the Black Cleaver on set too, and the same team. You have the Black Cleaver on set. I was going on that in the game. I was playing a mini game on if he needed to complete it over Trinity Force. I just don't even know. I have no idea what the hell goes on in these players' heads.
So I wanted to close this LS segment, this losing shopkeeper segment, looking back on the thing that we took a peek at earlier as we talked about Huni in the top lane building the Gunblade early. Anything else that sticks out of you to this Boris match here?
This exact game that we were watching before, that should have been a Leandri's third on GP. It's so good in that team comp.
Yeah.
He ended up going Lord Dominic's regard third. And like when we watch GP and EU, they build Leandri's third almost every single game. And that game, it was so good because you only you have so much AD on your team already, right? You have like the Caitlyn, you have the Graves, and that's like that's just it sets up the perfect Leandri's third on GP. And he ended up going, I think, Lord Doms into I think he was building an IE when the game ended, which is fine, but I think Leandri's has so much value in that game specifically because the team's itemized almost no MR. So
Check your PayPal. Check it. You know, like
why do players fall into this trap, guys? Like just to put a button on the R segment here. Why do they constantly not think about this?
I think it's because of like the feel of the individual items. Like right when you get a Morello, it doesn't feel horrible, right? It's like once you like factor in everything, you start realizing that it's not the most valuable. But these items, like because of like the pen that you get from the Oblivion Orb and stuff like that, I feel like it's just like a feel thing where people just do it without thinking because it feels correct in the moment.
There was a really good. I'm gonna try to find it. I'm gonna link it in the Discord. This was a good Reddit thread. It didn't get a lot of traction. This guy's obviously not like a scientist or anything like that, but it goes into a concept that you can find talked about in like documentaries and like talks and stuff like that. Magical versus scientific thinking. Most pro players rely on magical thinking in order to reach their conclusions. And when someone who they either don't respect or they're indifferent to comes along and says something that goes against their feeling of like what is good, even when presented like I like to think that people are reasonable. I've encountered in the last few weeks that they're apparently not, and you have to like literally maul in order to get them to do stuff. But the amount of like flat Earth logic that is present in like conversations and arguments is just fucking insane, man. I think the reason they build as bad as they do is, well, because they're, interestingly enough, there's job positions on pro teams that are supposed to be doing this, and yet apparently here we fucking are, and here I am campaigning against items, right? So then that's one of the first red flags, right? What are they doing? But then the second one is like, I like to think that people are reasonable enough that when shown like logically and practically that an item is better, it would just make sense to them. You know what I mean? It shouldn't take so long, but I don't know why they really do it. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just like they don't go the extra step. Like once something feels correct or like it feels good, like I actually fell into the Morellos versus Leandres thing on Karthus when I was in EU. Like this was like a year ago or more than that, like a year and a half ago.
He has to justify it for you, LS.
Well, it's just because like when you're playing a champion that's like really good and like you build any type of item and you have a lead and you're decent at the champion, like it's hard to believe that there's something better than it in a way.
Yes,
like
yes.
Like you hit level 11 on Karthus, right? You have Morellos and your runic echoes completed. You press R, it feels fucking great. But then when you factor in like the Leandres burn and everything, and you start getting into games where you're not as far ahead and things like that, and you start testing things around, that's like when you start like opening your eyes to the other possibilities. So I think that mainly when it comes to like these types of players, you just have to convince them to like try it once, and then they'll understand it like so much better instantly. They'll be like, okay, so that's how that feels. So now I can place like when I should be going with each one, like which one feels correct for each situation.
Yeah. I think it's no surprise Europe, like, so obviously we both do coach streams, right? But I talk to European players for like the last 7-8 months so fucking much, right? I think it's no surprise Leandre showed up in Europe first. Actually, last year it showed up. It was Larson and Nemesis doing Leandres, right? I think like the Nashor's Tooth on Azir was another good one that changed. Leandres on GP, Leandres on Ezreal. Like these are things that initially got scoffed at, but Europe was like the first one with all the players to go out and start doing it. Out of all the fucking regions, by the way. Like Europe just seems the most open-minded, and I've talked about this in like past videos and talk shows that I've done, that in my experience, so like I've been in esports going on 15 years. Europe was always like that out of all the regions. Europe is always the most like open-minded. I'll try it at the very least. And then, you know, if it doesn't work once, it doesn't mean I'm going to give up right away. I'll try it like again to really understand it, and then they'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like the way that EU culture is. Like when I was a pro player, there was like a couple picks that I brought out that, you know, like I would get once and then I just never got it again. And instantly I would have European players like in my DMs. Like one of the main ones that I remember was Pantheon Jungle.
Yes.
So I played like a fuck ton of Pantheon Jungle in season 4, and like instantly I have like Svenskeren talking to me. In season 5 I had Rainover talking to me. It's like, okay, so why do you think this pick is good? What is it good into? Like what's the value? Where do you like place your, like they're so willing to like adapt anything that looks like it could be strong from any other player. And it doesn't matter if they think EU is better than an A. It doesn't matter if like they see you in solo queue or some shit. I mean the build that they're running right now on Sion came from the boss FFS with the Titanic Hydra. Like that's an adaptation that people didn't really appreciate before. It was full tank Sion. So I think that it's like not only just limited to itemization, it's also just champion picks and everything like that. Like, I mean, I've had players that haven't pulled it out that talked to me about Fiddlesticks when I was playing a fuck recently. Like, I don't know, they just care about that type of stuff.
I remember when Malice first went to Europe, right? And everyone got on the Eve hype train. Even though we haven't seen her in competitive, at least that happened. Like, everyone got on the Eve train for a short while. Like, Europe's just, like, open to shit. In NA, you know, if they like a champion, they're forcing it, man. You want to, like, you know, like the one tricks, they're out in force.
And then I also think that it's like people are willing to take hits way more in Europe. Like in NA, it feels like no one wants to play potentially like a bad matchup or something like that. Like they always want to have like control. Whereas in Europe, I see like so many more people are willing to like, you know, pick early or like, you know, like pick a champion that is stable. How many times in Europe do we just see Orianna first rotation? Red side. We see it almost every fucking game because they know there's like actually like almost no counters to it, and you can probably get away with anything.
The counters that do exist, players can't play. No one's playing Vel'Koz. No one's playing Xerath. Yeah. Like no one's playing Ziggs. Like no one's playing these champions. They're too hard, and no one's gonna put the time in.
Yeah. So I mean, people are just willing to do that type of stuff over there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've always respected that. Also, we've seen it just with new champions. As soon as they come out, they're normally played in LPL and Europe before anywhere else. So.
Yep.
Not saying that no North American players do that, but we have seen a trend that it is happening overseas more often and historically through Dom's experience that it doesn't happen here as much.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually the NA players that do it are actually the European imports. Look at Bjergsen.
That's true.
You know, like Zillion and other stuff like.
That's right.